The end game of negative interest rates. I had a thought about this before. I watched my man, Uneducated Economist, yesterday, who got close to the end game with negative interest rates. I don't think he quite got there, though. So, and I like his channel. I don't agree with it all, but I like his channel a lot, Uneducated Economist. All right, so here's the end game. Why would they want negative interest rates? All right, well, the reason they want negative interest rates, obviously, they can borrow cheaply, which I get makes sense. But part two, they want, and they being the Federal Reserve, the ECB, the Bank of Japan, the Bank of England, everybody. Another reason they want negative interest rates is because you're being penalized for holding bonds, government bonds, and they want you to put that into either the market or assets. They want you to inflate asset prices, stocks, real estate, or they want you to consume it, spending. And remember, consumer spending is the bulk of GDP, right? So consumer spending is gone down, the GDP falls off a brick. There's just no like a brick in water. There's just no other way around it. I'm looking at these butterflies. Got this butterfly bush behind me, and I don't know if y'all can see that, but man, they got these just freaking tons of butterflies and bumblebees just flying around there. Bring me the pollination, baby. Bring me the pollination. All right, so let's go back into it. So that makes sense. So the negative interest rates theoretically stimulate demand. Again, demand side economy, which is not good. We always want supply side. It is not trickle down. Trickle down was a negative term to call Ronald Reagan's supply side economy, but be that as it may. So demand, you essentially punish people for keeping bonds. You basically encourage them to liquidate those bonds to buy assets, real assets, be real estate, cars, and to consume it essentially, or buy other kind of assets. They'll have to put it into the economy, and that increases the velocity of money. Increase the velocity of money, and you have you have inflation, and then you have higher GDP. Essentially, is the thought process. But it's more than that, and that's what Uneducated Economist was saying, and I get that 100%. But I'm surprised he missed this. It's more than that. It's literally to assume a cashless society. There's no other way around that. And I cannot stress this enough. A cashless society is a non-free society. There's no two ways around that. If you can be tracked with every single purchase you do, you are not free, man. No other way around that. In a cashless society, what does that mean? It simply means they know exactly where you are at all times. And that's not good. And not just because they know where you are, but they know what you're buying, right? Because it's all an electronic, a 1 and 0 in some computer someplace, some server. And so what happens in a cash-based society is they can't track that stuff. I mean, theoretically they could. They could put a chip in there or something, I guess. I guess they could find out what your, if you touch it with your fingerprint. I mean, all that stuff, I guess, could happen. That sounds like that'd be a pain relative to just going to cashless society. All right, so part two of how they make a cashless society, not only do they create negative interest rates to essentially penalize you for holding government debt, what else they do? Well, they make it so that if you put money into the bank, you have a certain amount of time to liquidate it before you lose a portion of your money, i.e., you're going to say, here's a $1,000 tax refund direct deposit. You can buy $1,000 worth of goods today, but the longer you wait, the less. It's almost like taking Social Security early, but to be the exact opposite. You get rewarded for taking Social Security later. It's not really reward; it's an actuarial table, but you're being compensated financially for delaying Social Security. This would be the exact opposite thing. It's almost like Medicare. If you don't sign up for Medicare on the proper time, you get penalized, and it gets penalized what falls you for the rest of your life. And the longer you wait, the more you get penalized. And it comes out of your Social Security check. There's nothing you can do about it. So what happens here is they said, okay, we'll give you your tax refund, for instance. We're going to put in your account money that is in there that's held in your savings account. If you want FDIC insurance, for instance, it has to be liquidated within 90 days, or else you're going to lose 10%. If you don't liquidate with 180 days, you lose 20% or something like that. Does that make sense? And so essentially you're going to say, I have to spend this money. How do you spend it? Well, you invest, you buy real estate, you buy a home, or you consume it by buying a new car, whatever it is. You can see that a mile away. And then they'll make it illegal to hold cash. Now, they say, I can't do that. Well, they made it illegal to hold gold, man. They interned Japanese people. They interned them. They made it illegal. And not only that, but they made it illegal to hold gold. And this is before high tech. It was illegal. And this was before, owning gold was before World War II. So you can't say, well, the War Act for internment, well, not holding gold. And it was not legal again until 1973 or something like that. I hear this all the time. They can't do that. It's conspiracy theory. I hear that all the time. I said, what are you talking about, man? They've done this. And I'll never forget. I posted out they're gonna the mayor is saying mandating masks in Chicago. I said, oh, next thing you know, they're going to arrest people for not wearing masks. And some people said, oh, you're a conspiracy theorist. They're not going to arrest people for not wearing masks. And lo and behold, they're arresting people for not wearing masks. I mean, I don't understand why people refuse to see the inherently obvious in front of their very eyes. But anyway, so going back to negative interest rates. All right, so we have negative interest rates, so you don't make any money for holding debt. So we're going to encourage you to buy real inflatable assets, inflating assets, stocks, and real estate, or consume it. Either way is good for the economy, theoretically. All right, so then we can say, okay, but all these people hoarding cash, like they were hoarding gold, we don't want that. That's the exact same thing they did with gold. We don't want people hoarding gold. We want them consuming it, so they're going to have to turn it into the government. They did this in Argentina. The government's going to say, okay, we're going to make it illegal to hold cash. If we'll give you a year, we'll give you $1 for $1 the first month. Bring your cash in. We'll give you 75 cents for $1 the 6 months, and bring your cash in, just like they did with gold. If you don't bring your cash in 11 months or 13 months, you'll be worthless. You can't use that except for the black market. But then who's going to use cash? Because it says it's traded on the full faith and credit of the United States government, but the United States government says we're not going to take that cash anymore. So there's literally no value, because the government says we're not going to back that. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by the full faith and credit of the government, because they said explicitly we're not going to take this. Can't you see this? It's so inherently obvious to me that they're going to do this, and they're going to get away with it too, because they can easily couch in two things. Drug dealers, we don't want the narcos in Mexico, and then B, coronavirus. Cash has too many germs. You can see this a mile away. That's the end result of negative interest rates, is a cashless society to track you, man. You're a conspiracy theorist. Okay, I guess you can call me that. But if you think that, you're just not paying attention, and you're not even looking at history, man. History is replete with this kind of crap. And then you just look at China. It's not a Black Mirror. It's real life. Black Mirror episode. It's real life happening in China. You think it's that far removed from happening here? They interned innocent Americans and Japanese Americans in World War II. They made it illegal to hold gold before World War II. You think this is hell? Blacks could not even vote until 1964 or something like that. That's basically 60 years ago. Do you think this is that far-fetched to say we're going to get rid of a cash society, we're going to go cashless, and here's the reason why? And we'll couch it, of course, and make it say it's going to benefit you and your safety. And everyone's going to fall. Everyone's going to fall in line like they are with this. Crazy. All right. Love to hear comments. We'll see you.